Hey lunch buddies, it's Arden13, and I am coming to you with a quick little tangent talk about my predictions for Adepticon 2026, hosted this year in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, March 25th through the 29th. There are two major companies that I am looking forward to their big announcement shows, and that is going to be obviously Games Workshop and Atomic Mass Games, both of whom host pretty massive preview shows during this event. Starting with GW, they announced a trailer, they announced a teaser, and they have put an article on Warhammer Community. And there are a number of different little Easter eggs and things that they've teased in there to kind of say, this is what we're going to be talking about. Obviously the ones that kind of pull my attention are going to be the Blood Angels, and that is pretty much that from 40K, but also things that, everyone at this moment suspects that we are going to get the announcement for the 11th edition of Warhammer 40,000, which, it's about that time, so I can foresee that coming. However, everyone is saying that the launch box for 11th edition is going to host Space Marines versus the Orcs, but I'm gonna raise you based on my own just kind of thinking about it, but also something that I think would be very interesting and a very bold choice from GW. What if there were no Space Marines in this box? I think with the Commissar Yarrick model being announced and the whole kind of hype surrounding Armageddon, I think what would be really interesting is that we get one side of that box is Orcs and the other side is Astra Militarum. With the recent controversy, that might just be a pipe dream, but that is going to be my prediction. That is going to be my prediction, that I believe that the 11th edition box is going to host Orcs and Astra Militarum. What would the Astra Militarum get in that box? I have absolutely no idea. I don't play Guard, but other Guard players can muse about it in the comments. What do you think should be in that box? What do you think should be, resculpted and remade in that box? Steel Legion notwithstanding. Now, the other thing that I was very excited to see on the roster in that Warhammer Community article that we will talk about during the preview show is going to be MESBG, my favorite game that they produce. Now, when this happened 5 years ago, the only thing that we got announced was the commemorative model for the 20th anniversary of the movies hitting theaters. Don't get me wrong, that's a cool model. It's very evocative and a very iconic scene. However, if all we get announced this year is a commemorative model, I'm not going to lie, I will be a little bit disappointed. I think there are two things that GW should announce to build, continue, and create the hype train for the next era of MESBG. Two things that I would like to have announced for MESBG is the next supplement for MESBG, the next hardcover supplement for MESBG. I think it is about time that we got the Last Alliance. A lot of people last edition were clamoring for the Last Alliance, and we never got the Last Alliance. I think that that would be a really strong start as a campaign for the new edition of MESBG. The second thing that I want is going to center around the battle host boxes. I think that MESBG needs a couple more good ways for people to get into the game. We have our 3 battle host boxes that currently exist, Mordor, Isengard, and Gondor. We had a 4th at one point, the Rohan box, but because we got an update for the Warriors of Rohan, that box was taken out of the production. So I think we need to reproduce basically that whole box. Give Eomer and the Riders of Rohan the new Warriors of Rohan sprue, throw that box back out into the ecosystem. Now, the other company that I'm really looking forward to stuff being announced is going to be Atomic Mass Games. And primarily, of course, if you've watched the channel for any stretch of time, you know that my focus for Atomic Mass Games is going to be Star Wars Legion. And with the most recent announcement at the end of February about the relegation of Shatterpoint to a specialty game line, I think that this roadmap is going to be quite robust. And for me, the big things that I want to make their way over from Shatterpoint to Legion are going to be a lot of those more characterful models that we look for in the Star Wars franchise. So for the Empire, I would love to see the Inquisitors fully make their way over to Star Wars Legion. They would embody, they could play a little bit in between the Operator role as well as the Commander role, or at least the Grand Inquisitor could be something of a Commander, and then the rest of the Inquisitor squad could make up some level of the, kind of like a Bad Batch squad in the Operator role. I think that would be super interesting and super cool. You could mix and match a little bit, maybe not take all of the Inquisitors, but mix and match Inquisitors present on the battlefield. I think that would be super, super interesting. And by that same token, I would love for the Rebels to see the Rogue One squad make their way over. For the Republic and the CIS, I'm kind of comfy with where the Republic is currently sitting. Get us some more Jedi, get us some more characters in that respect, and otherwise we're doing pretty well. I mean, the Commandos, the ARC Troopers, the Sharpshooters, everybody, like, we're hitting all the bases that I feel like we need to be hitting. I also think we're kind of overdue for Shadow Collective Maul to be in his own box. I'm not super pressed about what they're going to introduce into Star Wars Legion based on the past 2 Adepticons and a couple of other conventions where they've given announcements and kind of roadmaps and breakdowns. There is so much for them to pull from, and there is so much that they are already pulling from that I feel, are going to be eating very well when it comes to Star Wars Legion for the foreseeable future. I think they're going to cover all of their bases, all the things that they introduced into Shatterpoint will be making their way over into Legion in really evocative ways, and if it comes down to, like, you know, how are we going to see certain things like the Rogue One squad, even though I think they would fit very well in a Bad Batch style operative role, then we have the opportunities of their special operations, the skirmish game that they're introducing to the system, that we're going to see a lot of stuff making their way over in very short order within the next couple of years. No matter what the announcements are for Star Wars Legion, I know that I'm going to be excited. But those are my thoughts and my predictions for Adepticon 2026. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Join the conversation. What events you're going to be participating in? What are you really looking forward to this weekend? Let me know. I'd love to hear all about it. If you enjoyed today's video, I would really appreciate it if you interacted with the buttons downstairs that everyone else bugs you about. I've been Arn13. I appreciate you guys spending your time with me today. I am still waiting on that ramen, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.